right. We're back.
We're back.
We're back, and this time it's personal.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep, that's true.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been
Been
too
been a
long.
little while since we
Too long.
recorded an episode of XPK Podcast, Season 2, Episode 1.
Yes,
It's been a long time coming.
it has. Sorry.
What? Don't say sorry. We're here to talk about why that's a good thing, actually.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
everybody's been waiting in much anticipation.
Of course, yes.
Um,
On their hands and knees.
our
I mean,
6 fans,
yeah, exactly.
two
No,
of them
sitting. Yeah,
including relatives.
I know. I know. Yeah, it has been a long time. I don't even remember how long it's been. It's been a couple years, but I don't
Something.
remember when the last video
I know
was.
I was in my old house, and I've been in this house for about a year and a half.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
then that's pretty accurate
So
then.
been at
All
least
right.
that.
Okay.
But it's been a good year and a half to 2 years
It has.
because there's been some things that have happened that caused the delay in episode whatever 1 of season 2 at least, and you've been on quite the journey, no pun intended.
Very true.
Um, and that's what we want to get into because one thing led to another, and we have a book
Yes, we
that's been
do.
written. Notice
Yep.
I did not show the cover.
Right.
I'll
Yeah.
show you. I'll show
Yeah.
you on
Yeah.
there.
There
That's
I
your
am. There I
book.
am. Yep.
But we'll get into the name of the book and what it's about, all that good stuff here. So, what's been going on?
I know. Well, it's been a roller coaster to say the
Yeah.
least. Have been to hell and back. Glad to
Mm,
be back. And what do they say
not a
when
fun place to visit.
no, when you're going through hell, just keep going, don't stop.
Mm,
Which is true because I was very tempted to stop and got pretty close to that, but God had a different plan and led me in places I would never have thought I would go and or that he would lead me. But
yeah.
out of simple obedience and having my blonde hair and just being dumb enough to just follow
Believe
blindly.
God.
Yeah, follow blindly because he made himself very clear. I always say he blonde proofs things for me. Um, I followed trepidatiously, but I followed, and he revealed himself to me in a way I've never known him, and I will never ever. I would go through all of it again to get to the place where I am today. So
And isn't that how it works though?
yeah,
Where the what we see as hell on earth is actually a healing process
yeah,
and a redemption process. So I'm excited to talk about it. I know about it, obviously.
yeah,
Walked with you to through a lot of it. Obviously, not as intimately as you did, but so obviously we want to get to the subject of the book. But before we do that, just tell the audience like kind of the background of why what hell was. What
yeah.
was your hell that you
Well,
went through?
yeah. Ironically, hell for me came in stages, right? I I am a typical type A personality driver. It's just how God created me. And so what that does is it allows you to just plow forward regardless of what's going on around you or inside of you. You can just, refocus your
Push it
efforts.
down.
Yeah, and tackle the task at hand. And for
Yeah.
me, with if people that don't know my background, growing up in a preacher's house and experiencing sexual abuse by that pastor, the same one
Slash
that,
father.
yeah, slash
Mhm.
father, who introduced me to God. I had a very warped view of who God was. I saw
Mm,
God through the lens of dad, and I saw Jesus through the lens of you, as you were always
mm,
walking through things with me. And
mhm,
you were never, judgy or condemning or any of that. I never felt like I had to perform for you, versus I felt very much that I had to perform for dad. And so I unfortunately, I saw God and Jesus very differently, even
yeah.
though they are one and the same. Um, but I did along the way have layers of healing from that. Went through some really great programs, the road, and had some great counseling, and did a lot of things where I was able to let go of stuff. I let go of dad. It's been almost 17, no, how long? Oh, 09. So yeah, 16 years. And yeah, and I mean, I would never have thought I would ever get to that place where I could be okay doing that, because all I cared about was him approving me and loving me. And so I had made progress. And so in that progress and in that healing, I was able to help other people. And that's what I focused on. And in reality, there was so many more layers that God was trying to heal in me.
Mhm.
And I just, it's exhausting. It is hard work. And I just wanted to help everyone else and focus on them instead of me. So when COVID hit and everyone was forced to shut down, and everyone was forced back in their houses, and I
Yeah.
was turning 50. It was I heard the Lord tell me the word jubilee, which when I looked up, found out was a year of rest for
Right.
the land after, 7 sevens of different harvesting
Mhm.
for the land. And I was like, oh, this is great. Yes, I'm 50. I'm going to take a whole year off. I was so excited to get the rest. And I did not understand how much that rest was like a four-letter word to me. And
Mhm.
I didn't know rest. Rest was not rest. I didn't like rest. Rest felt wrong. Rest felt scary. Rest felt sinful. Rest felt anything but restful.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like it. But what it did was it turned into making me focus on what was really going on inside. And then I found out through a series of actual medical tests that all the stuff that was happening, like losing my memory, losing my hearing, all the things, all the physical symptoms that I had just overlooked and, chalked up to getting older, was not just in my head. It was actually a traumatic brain injury in my head from a wreck that I had had back in 2014. So when that got coupled on top of the complex PTSD and things from my childhood, it literally almost sent me to the grave. And
Killed you.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and so, of course God had a plan for all of it. And
Praise God.
yeah, but when the medical world fails you, and when you don't find the answers in the church. And when I say that, what I mean is the answers that you typically get, like pray about it, fast and pray about it, go to the healing services, whatever it
I would
is
say
that,
the answers that the church are capable of giving.
right. And you've
The
tried
church is
all of
not a
that.
medical profession. The church
Right.
is not equipped to deal with traumatic brain injuries, and most churches are not equipped to deal with PTSD.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and especially complex. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Well, first, I didn't even know PTSD was something I could have, simply because I've never even shot a gun, right? Like, I thought it was for soldiers, and
Right.
it's not just for soldiers. And so I didn't even believe that diagnosis when I first got it, but then mine is complex because it's happened over multiple decades. And
Right.
and then what happened with the wreck, that became my TBI, my traumatic brain injury, that is what really exacerbated all those symptoms to the place where I couldn't ignore them anymore. And when I went to get my first brain scan of many that I've had, and they showed me on the actual brain scan where my fight or flight lit up, and they said, this is going to kill you. It's not if, it's when. You cannot live in fight or flight. And that's what my body had gotten used to, and it had never come out of fight or flight for decades. And your body's not made to do that. It's a survival instinct, which is great, but for so many people who have a lot of trust issues from trauma from people that are very close to them, they are in constant fight or flight mode. You're ready at all times because everybody is on your radar of possibly hurting you or
Right.
betraying you or whatever it may be.
You
And
can't
so,
trust anybody.
yeah,
Everybody's out to get you there
yeah,
or whatever. So
it just
yeah,
becomes a state of being for you. You don't
right.
mean to be. It's just how it
It's
is.
like that rubber band that is like at the point of
Mhm.
snapping.
Yeah,
That's just living there,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and
And
it
any out other abnormal outside pressure
yeah.
can snap it at any time, right?
Exactly, exactly. So, when I first started down this road, I didn't even think enough of myself to care about it. That's why,
When
as
you
you
say
know,
this road, you mean the road to getting help
yeah,
or to dealing with
yeah,
the reality
yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed to pushing it down and masking it with ministry or
right,
whatever. Now
yeah.
we're forced to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, when even going to get the brain scan, I was like, I really don't care. I didn't want to put any more effort in to trying to improve because all the effort I had put in, I felt like I put in, let's just say I put in 20 years of work and made 2 inches of progress. I'm like, it's not worth. I'm getting no ROI here. There's no return on my
Right.
investment. It's just too much. So I ended up going and doing brain scans and doing EMDR and doing all the things that I didn't want to do for the kids and for Jim, to be a better wife, to be a better mom. That's what I used for my motivation to keep going. And
Mhm.
even that became it was still not enough to overcome. And I got to the place where I had literally walked through every person in my life and why they would be better off without me. Like it just it I and it was I mean, very good reasons. In my head, it was very good reasons and seemed very legit. And so I just decided I wasn't going to be here anymore. And
Wow.
I started planning my suicide, and I literally um had the whole
Which
thing
in your
planned.
mind at that time was reasonable.
It was
Like
totally
it
reasonable. I was
literally will
giving a
be
gift.
better for
Yes.
everyone and for me if
Yes.
I'm not here anymore.
Right. I was giving a gift to my family, to you,
Mm,
to, everyone. That is how you're thinking when you're in that frame of mind, is that
mm.
you're completely convinced this is the most loving thing you can do. And so I had everything planned, and it was a night, it was my birthday day, and I wasn't going to do anything that day, but I was planning for the next day. And so that night when I went to bed, I just threw up this flippant prayer, basically like, hey, I don't know if you're watching or if you care even, but if you're up there and you don't want this to happen, then you need to fix it, or I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully. That's how I didn't even know if I would see him. I just wasn't sure. At that point,
Mm.
I had such a crisis of faith. I didn't know what I believed anymore. And I just was like, I'm either going to see you or I'm not. So if I'm not, that means I'm in hell, and I'm in hell now. So I'm not really sure it wouldn't be any different. I'm just putting all these people out of my misery. I mean, these are the things that go through your head when you're not thinking correctly. And
Yeah.
so I had for and the reason it got so hard that specific time is because I have never felt like I am like Jesus hasn't been here. I've always had my beef has always been with how God feels about me. It's never been with how Jesus feels about me. I've always
To
just
be more specific, you're thinking God the Father. You're
God
thinking
the
the
Father.
Father,
Right.
and,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I'm always thinking of him like being ready to like send me a bolt of lightning at any
smite you.
time. Yes. And I see Jesus up there saying, hey, I'm just give me some more time. I'm still working with her, you know? So, I mean, I just see this conversation. It's just crazy. And so, um, I've always known I have Jesus in my heart, but so I don't ever think I could ever be possessed or anything like that by a demon. I just don't believe Christians can. And so, um, but I had some sort of something. I don't know if it was,
Oppression
yeah, I don't know if
or
it's, yes, something,
darkness or whatever.
some really, really bad oppressive cloud that would not go away no matter what I did. I could be reading my Bible, I could be having worship music on. It it didn't care. Would not leave me alone. And
Wow.
this went on so long that this was the other reason why I planned to just I couldn't escape. I could not get out of my own head and what it was saying to me and what it was telling me. And so that's why I said this flippant prayer that night. And when I woke up the next morning, I I remember thinking, because I got up and made it to the bathroom, and then I was like it doesn't know I'm up yet, like I don't know where it is, but it hasn't seen me yet. So I was like real happy to just have a minute of relief.
Mm.
And then I'm like, okay, it's gonna find me at the coffee maker. It knows my routine, or whatever. I'm just talking to myself. And I go downstairs, go to the coffee maker, and it's still not I'm like, maybe it's asleep. I don't know, but it's just it wasn't there. And so
Wow.
I was like, we were packing up because we were out of town. So I started putting all stuff in my suitcase so we could load the car, and it still hadn't found me. And on the way home, it hadn't found me. And it was crazy because my plan was to do it when we got home while everybody was unloading the car. And then they would just find me later. And because they would all be distracted. And it was like we pulled up and I unloaded the car and helped everyone because I felt so much better.
Mm.
And so I guess God listened. And even though my prayer was so not very spiritual and not very reverent, and I didn't even think he cared. He did, and so I decided then, okay, if I'm going to live, I have to be able to live abundantly. I can't live like this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is what sent me down this road of nothing else I've tried has worked. So God, why do you want me here?
Mm.
You knew I was coming to see you, so clearly you still are not done with me. So what do you want me here for?
Mm.
And it just sent me down this really long trail. I called a really good friend of mine who was really mad at me for not calling her before I almost ended everything.
Yeah.
But
I would
she
have been
told
really mad too, by
I
the way.
know, I know. Everybody was mad when they found out. But I just want to say when you're in that frame of mind, so much so you don't want somebody to stop you. When
Right.
you're serious. I think
Sure.
some people, you know, think about it, but they're not really serious, and it is a cry for help, and people need to take it seriously. But
Right.
I didn't want anybody to try to stop me because I was done. And
Yeah.
and then just out of desperation, I said something to the Lord and he listened.
Mm.
So, but this friend told me about a type of treatment that her boys had taken because of everything that happened when they went over to Afghanistan in the war. And it was so bad when they got back. They were, I mean, like one of the boys had 42 different diagnoses. Like it was bad. And TBI was just one of them. PTSD was just one of them. I mean, so
Mm.
it was so bad. And they had found relief with plant medicine, better known as psychedelic assisted therapy. And so, of course, my first reaction was, listen, I just got out of hell. I can't go back. There's no way. And, she was very trepidatious about even telling me. But, she said, Wendy, this literally saved one of her boys' life. Like he was also thinking about killing himself. And, the veterans, they are 20 to 40 every single day are committing
Just
suicide.
as a subgroup of society, it's the highest
Yeah.
suicide rate that exists.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not okay how our country is treating them. And so these guys are going all the way to Mexico to get this treatment, and it is literally saving their lives. And so she was so desperate to help me that she shared this with me. And quite honestly, the first time that I just like went and talked to the actual doctor that would do it, I talked to him about it. I did not have peace. And so I, of course, I was begging the Lord, like, please, I don't want to make you mad. Like, please don't let me do anything outside your will, and I didn't have peace. So I walked away,
Yeah.
and I was fine with it. And she was fine with it. She just said, I would feel bad if I didn't tell you. Okay. So
Right.
it was a little over a year later that he brought it back around. And at first I was like, hey, we've already talked about this. Like, you said no, I said okay, and we moved on, and he was not wanting me to do with this particular person. He had something better planned for me. And
Well, and
so,
and in bringing it back around, was that when I brought it up to you?
yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was, yeah, because you brought
Yeah.
it up, and Aaron had talked to Jim about it. So Jim's talking to me about it because he and Ron and everybody. I'm like, why are y'all? I've already said no to this. Why are y'all coming and
And
telling me
the big
this?
issue was it we needed some people that we knew were walking with the Lord
Right.
and we knew had experienced it personally. Like your
Right.
friend that told you about it hadn't experienced it personally. She had just
Right.
seen what it had done for, her boys. And we
Right.
needed somebody on the other side of it that was walking with the Lord before it happened and was still walking with the Lord after it happened
Right.
so that they could share, okay, how did you come to this being okay,
Right.
and what
Exactly.
happened, and why, what's happened since, and all
Yeah.
that.
Well, and what was so encouraging to me, I mean, as much as I needed help with all the injury and all the PTSD, what was so exciting in listening to their stories had nothing to do with that part. It had to do with their encounter with Jesus, their encounter with God, and how it drew them even closer to with their relationship with God than they even were beforehand. So I was like, okay, that's really bizarre, because my big concern here is it being something that pushes me away from God, not
Right.
not and it doesn't please him, and it takes me to a place that I don't want to go, versus it draws me closer to him, because that was the true healing I needed, was this
Mm.
rift between me and God that came from how I viewed him through the lens of my earthly father.
Yeah.
And that was not even something I would have even asked for healing in. It was just like, it's a weird thing for me to say, hey God, can you please make me not see you that way? Or, I mean, it just seemed really strange. I
Right.
could talk to Jesus about it, and that's why I always felt, because I talked to you about it. I mean, you and I have the same dad, and I've talked to you many times about how he makes me feel and how I feel
Right.
like he thinks of me. So it was like that with me and Jesus, and that's why I felt so comfortable with him. But I was so afraid of God, and now I'm like, it's so different. So
Right.
different.
And so let's go back because we just like hit all kinds of stuff
Yeah, we
right
did.
there, right?
Sure.
And so because I'm sure people, people's brains and hearts and spirits are like all up in arms right now
Right.
about, well, you shouldn't need psychedelics to have an encounter with God and to draw near to God. That's what we do with prayer, and that's what we do with the Bible, and that's, meditation and worship and all that. And so speak to that, because I know exactly what the answer is, but I think
Yeah.
they need to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. Well, all of those things you just mentioned, the worship, the prayer, the meditation, that was all part of the journey. Here's what I have come to understand. Somebody who has not experienced trauma, does not struggle with PTSD, who does not have a TBI, so I'm going to say a normal brain that has not been injured, okay? They probably will never need, and hopefully will never need, any kind of medical intervention of any kind, whether it be
In
from
their
the
brain.
in their brain, right? Because they
Right.
don't have an injury to their brain. Just like
Right.
I've never had a heart transplant because I've never had a heart problem, right? But I would never want to judge somebody who needed a heart transplant because, well, why don't you just ask God to change your heart and give you a better heart? Why don't you just ask him? I mean, that's between them and the Lord, right? And that is their business, between the Holy Spirit and whoever that patient is. And so when I went through my psychedelic assisted therapy, I literally surrounded myself with everything that reminded me of God and Jesus. I had my worship music was all I wanted playing in my headphones. I had like a little cross on my table. I had a pillow that said the word redeemed on it because that's really what I was looking for, was redemption.
Mm.
And I literally asked God to either let the plane crash if I was going and out of his will, just to, let it take me home, not everybody on the plane, but just don't let me do this if I heard you wrong. And even after I landed, I'm like, just help it not to work. Just help it not to work at all. If I'm stepping out, just like make it like I'm taking placebos. It's not even gonna work for me. And and I was totally fine with it. I did not want to do anything. So there was a lot of prayer, a lot of worship, and crying
Mhm.
out to the Lord. And the thing that is beautiful, just like the flippant prayer that I threw up right before I planned to kill myself, he met me right where I was.
Mm.
He came in the middle of my journey and revealed himself in a way that no one can ever take from me. I don't care how many people don't
Wow.
like it. They will never be
Right.
able to take away. And I don't know how anyone could judge poorly an experience that makes you love God more, that makes you know he loves you more, that draws you closer to him, that
Right.
makes you want to tell the whole world about him. I don't know how that could be something that could be dangerous for me.
Right.
I can tell you the other option was to drive off the bridge.
Mm.
So between those two, I really believe I picked the one that God made me lean towards,
Right.
right?
The one that he led you to. Yes. Thank
Absolutely.
God. Glad that was the path that he chose for you, for sure. So what you're getting into specifically is the ibogaine journey.
Yes, yes.
So
This
we're
was
talking about a specific plant medicine, psychedelic, that has medically been proven to heal the brain of
your physical
like
organ. Yes.
physical organ in your head, inside your skull, that has neuro pathways that cause you to think certain ways and feel certain ways that have been damaged through post traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injuries, among other things. You said the one man had 40 something different diagnoses. So you had those two, complex PTSD and the TBI, that was affecting your ability to think rationally and logically, to not be in this tension 24/7 of fight or flight,
Yeah.
And ibogaine has been proven to heal that.
Absolutely. And not just in my case, in multiple cases. Of Stanford's study that was just released last year, that was done on vets, like the neuroscientist guy that did it said he has never seen anything as promising as ibogaine in his field ever. And so, I mean, they've been looking for ways to heal people like this for decades and have not been able to find anything. So,
Yeah.
of course, the people that have been using it in West Africa have known for centuries what amazing work this does, for your brain.
Right.
But over here, back in the 60s, it just got thrown into the class 1 category with all the other drugs like heroin and everything like that. And class 1 means it has no medical purpose for any reason, and it's addictive. And it's the
Right.
complete opposite of that. Ibogaine
Right.
is not something that is addictive, nor is it not been proven to be medically relevant. It's very
Right.
medically relevant. In fact, at the clinic I went to and stayed for 2 weeks, it was like a hospital. You were in a bed, medical bed, with a IV, with all of the machines. You had an EKG all the time. It was very serious. It wasn't like recreational on any level.
Right.
The medicine was locked up. It was, I mean, they even took all of my supplements, so I couldn't even have anything in my room. Like, they're very serious about no drugs and all of that there. So,
Yeah.
it's a very serious medication, should be very highly respected, and it did an absolute 180 for me in my brain. Like, it fixed so many things. And the neurotransmitters that were in my brain that had lost, the connection, which was affecting my memory, those were healed. My memory is so much better than it used to be, and I mean, it's not perfect, it's not 100%, but it's definitely improving. And
Yeah.
and your body turns the ibogaine into noribogaine, which lasts then for up to 100 days. And during that period of time, you can learn new, like, languages and all kinds of stuff. It resets your brain till you're like 7 years old. So it is an amazing, divine, very, very intelligent medicine. I can't
Wow.
explain to you. Yeah.
Would you call it a gift
It
from
is
God?
it is most definitely a gift from God.
So let's go to. So you had to go to Mexico because this is currently illegal in the United States,
Right.
and let's just. Can we all be honest about the fact that just because something's illegal in the United States doesn't mean it's bad? Alcohol used to be illegal in the United States, and the only reason it's illegal currently is because of money and big pharma,
Right.
and it will be legal in the very near future.
It will,
And we can
because
get more into that. But I
right.
want you, so you have to go to Mexico to do this. It's an actual medical facility with
Mhm.
doctors, actual doctors
Mhm.
that are running it and overseeing everything. Tell us about the journey, like how long was it? What happened? Because somehow a book came out of this thing.
Yeah. Well, let me back up just for 1 second and let the audience know. Before ibogaine, I had tried a different type of psychedelic assisted therapy called the
Okay.
HEART protocol, which
Okay.
has 3 different substances: ketamine, MDMA, and psilocybin. And as powerful as those things are, whatever was going on in my brain, it did not penetrate the problem to the point that I could, for lack of a better term, get out of my dark room. I had the experience. I definitely, kind of had like an out of body experience. I got relief from the treatment, and during the treatment, I saw things inside of this huge dark room, but I could never find a door, a window, nothing. Everything was dark and it wasn't scary. It was just I couldn't get out of this room. I later found it was the basement. It was a basement that I had, kind of taken little Wendi and put her in when I was little, when she was molested. And that's where I had kept her and stored her so that she would be safe. But I could not get myself out of this room. Okay. So I did 10 rounds of that and never made any further progress. Definitely had relief, but I needed something more powerful. So
It was
when I,
more like ibuprofen with a brain tumor
right. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would give you some relief from the headaches
Yeah.
while the brain tumor was still there killing you.
Yeah, because it was not fixing my problem, and I had to continue doing it over and over and
Right.
over again. So the ibogaine, when I got there, the ibogaine, first of all, when I asked them, because they called it the grandfather of psychedelics, which scared me a lot because these other substances were pretty powerful, and because I was stuck in my dark room, I did not want an even longer experience in my dark room because they said this could last up to 24 hours. So I said, I can't be in a dark room for 24 hours. I can't do that, and they said, we don't think that's going to happen, but we'll check in with you and stuff. And they were fabulous. But I was not in my dark room for 24 hours. What happened was about 45 minutes into the medicine, I took my pills, 8 little pills. About 45 minutes later, I mean, imagine my amazement because all of a sudden the colors and everything I was seeing, it was colors I'd never seen before, just so bright. And it was my whole life in front of me. My life review is just the weirdest. I saw people that, like I'm looking at you, but like more real, like in 3D right next to me. It was the
Yeah.
craziest thing. This lasted maybe 3 or 4 hours. And then everything shifted. And when it shifted, everything became a little bit darker, not dark, but darker and more muted colors. And then I realized I'm in my dark room. Like, what is going on? Like I felt like, I'm being tricked now. How am I back? What just happened? How am I
Yeah.
back in my dark room? But as I'm laying in my hospital bed and I'm looking around my dark room, I look up and in the ceiling, one of the tiles lifted up. Now, this has never happened. One of the tiles lifted up and I saw the very blue sky behind. This was the first time I had been in the dark room and even seen any kind of exit or an entrance out. And so I'm looking up at it. I see the blue, and then I see Jesus look down at me and literally put his hand down, like when Peter's in the water and he goes down to, and he's like, "Help me," and he's putting his hand down. That's what Jesus was doing to me. And I was so shocked that he was there that I froze. And then the tile shut, and I was like, come back, come back. I was like, oh my gosh, I totally missed him, like what in the world? And then the next thing I know, the whole ceiling came off. It was like, oh, she didn't like just the tile. She wants, I'm making it easier for her. He ripped the whole ceiling off and rolled a staircase all the way down to the foot of my bed. And I just got up and ran up the stairs to him. And since then, I've never
Wow.
been in my dark room ever again, unless there was a big, huge window. Anytime I'm in my dark room, there's a big, huge window on my left. Because what he taught me was that, Wendi, in your life, you're going to be in your dark room, but you're never alone in your dark room. And here's the window that you can see that there will always be a way out. And it's just the way that he made the whole thing so personal to me. I
Yeah.
cannot tell you, we would be here till next Thursday. I cannot
Right.
tell you, my journey was 22 hours. And
Wow.
it was so intentional and so personal. The way he did it, I just believe God is a God of order, and he literally he would show me a scene, and that was the information. Then he would give me insight into what that scene, why he was showing me that scene. Then he would give me instruction as to what he
Mm,
wanted me to do with what he just showed me. And
wow.
this came over and over and over and over and over again until we got to one scene where he showed me something, and then the insight, and then the instruction was he wanted me to apologize to the owner of the facility I was in, because the first 5 days I was a nightmare because I did not want to be there. I thought I was being tricked, and I was not happy, and I made sure everybody knew it. And I was just like, I want to go home, and my husband's down the road. And he just kept, like, he was so nice. He just kept walking me through it. And he's like, can you
Mm.
please just hold on for your flood dose? And so, here I am in my flood dose. And then
Because it's a process. You don't just
oh
walk
gosh.
in there and
Oh
say,
no.
okay, hook me up, give me the drugs. It's a whole
No.
process. You were
Oh
there
yeah.
for like 2 weeks
Yes.
and didn't get your the medicine until like day 5 or 6 or
Yeah,
whatever.
it was day 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, and of course I'm without my family. I'm with all these people I don't know, and yeah, it
Right.
was really hard. And so here I am now in my flood dose, and God's like, "You need to apologize to him." And so I said, "Okay, I will." Of course, I'm agreeing with everything God's telling me. I'm so thankful, for him and for him coming and rescuing me out of my dark room. And so then I'm now waiting for the next scene, because that's how we've been
Right.
doing it for hours. The scene, so the information, then the
Right.
insight, then the instruction, right? So he just gave me instruction. I agreed to the instruction. I'm waiting for the next scene, and there's nothing. So I'm like, are we done? Because you have no concept of time. So I was like, I
Right.
mean, it seemed like it'd been a long time, but I'm like, are we done? And I hear him like, are no, we are waiting. I said, oh, well, what are we waiting on? And he said, well, what did I just tell you to do? I was like, oh, okay, like right now. You want me to tell him right now? So I pull my mask and my headphones off, and I asked the nurse, hey, can somebody please go get Tom? And she's like, right now? I said, yeah, apparently. And so she has somebody go get him, and I'm just laying there waiting with my mask and my headphones on, listening to my worship music. And then I all of a sudden see that, or feel this on my shoulder, and there he is. And I'm like, Tom, I'm so happy to see you. And I said, listen, I need to apologize. I've been a nightmare, and I'm so sorry. And he's like, oh, honey, I forgave you long ago. I said, no, you got to let me talk, because I don't think God's going to show me anything else until I tell you this. And I just want to say that I need you to forgive me. And he
Mm.
was just like overwhelmed. I mean, he was like got tears in his eyes, and it was just
Mm.
sweet. It was such a sweet moment, where it had been very contentious before, because he was just trying to keep me from running
He
away.
knew he knew what you were going to
Yeah.
walk out of there with if you would
Right.
just calm down and
Yeah.
wait until you got
Yes. Yes.
you're
Calm
like,
was
"But
not
this
a
is
word.
why
Yeah.
I'm here. It is because of this."
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you're bringing something up that I think is really important for us to talk about
Okay.
for the audience to hear, because you're you're talking about a drug that alters your mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how many times have we heard, do not be drunk with wine, but be filled with the Holy Spirit? And so, like, I've had these conversations with people even since this whole thing became a topic in my life,
Mm-hmm.
because of my relationship with you and because of other people that I know that God has used it to heal as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm like, well, okay, but this is not, you're comparing apples and oranges.
Right.
The way you just described it, you, you were of sound mind to
Yeah.
be able to hear instructions from the Lord in your journey, put the journey on pause, and then follow those instructions
Right.
in clear speech, clear understanding of, okay, I know who this guy is. He's telling me to apologize to. He's here. Okay, let me take my mask off, take my earbuds out, which are helping facilitate the journey by
Absolutely.
closing your eyes and having the worship music. And now I'm out of the journey and I'm talking like a normal person and apologizing and following the Lord's instructions
Right.
and seeing reconciliation happen. I would almost say you're in a more pure, God centered state of mind in that
I
situation.
I would not argue with that at all. This is the part about this that is so hard for me to understand why God asked me to do this, right? Now, I say at the beginning of the book, I am not a theologian and I'm not a scientist. I'm a girl who, was really struggling. This is what God led me to, and this was my experience. And if I can be of help to anybody else that needs this, then I'm going to speak the truth. Okay. I know, and I have said right now in the flesh, like you and I right now, physical bodies. The Bible tells us we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. We wrestle against principalities and the spiritual darkness of the world, right? That's in the
Right.
flesh. He's telling us that. He tells us to put on our armor because of that, right? So
Meaning we're in the flesh,
right.
but our battle is not with the flesh.
Absolutely. It's with the
It's
spirit realm.
coming from another world,
Absolutely. Okay. So
the unseen realm.
put that on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So even in the flesh, we are dealing with things in the spirit. And so God says, he reminds us, greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world, right? So
Yes.
whatever is this thing that we're having to deal with, we don't have to be scared because we are armed by God himself. Okay. So when you go into this journey and you use these medicines that, by the way, came from the iboga tree, plant, bush, whatever, in West Africa. Okay, so I'm just saying it was grown from the ground by God
By
himself.
God.
And
Hmm.
in Genesis 1:12, when he made the vegetation, he said it was good. Now, I
Hmm.
know we live in a fallen world. I get it, okay? But like every single good gift that God has given us, they can be stewarded properly or they can be stewarded and abused, okay? So
Right.
there
They
are
can be used
people.
for good or they can be used for evil.
Right. And there are people that use these things for evil. There is no
Yes.
doubt. There is no doubt. And that is
Correct.
not at all what my book is advocating for. Nothing in my book advocates the use for recreational use of the drugs or the medication, because we did talk about there are some substances that are made in a lab, so people will probably want to refer to those as drugs, just like you would get ketamine to get put to sleep. Ketamine in a therapeutic setting can do wonders for somebody. Okay, so
I.e., put to sleep being
like a surgery.
ketamine is used as
Oh yeah.
anesthesia.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
In an emergency room or an operating room. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And ketamine is now legal in the
Yes,
US for
absolutely.
medical therapeutic
Oh,
use. You
it's
can actually
fabulous.
order it
Yes,
and
and I
have it
do.
delivered to your house.
It is delivered
So,
to my
so
house.
this is a drug that not long ago was illegal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And it's great for anxiety. Okay. So it's what it does, it's like you're there, but you just don't care as much. So for somebody like me who sees the whole world as a threat, I might inadvertently offend somebody that I don't want to offend simply because they say something or look at me in a certain way. But with ketamine, for me, it just drops that everything is a threat.
It loosens the rubber band
Yes,
a little bit.
absolutely. Absolutely. So This is something that is prescribed on a therapeutic basis in much smaller doses. Obviously, it's called
Right.
microdosing, is the word,
Right.
the actual word, microdosing.
Yes.
And people do the same thing with psilocybin or different things. And I'm not a scientist, so I cannot tell you what each of the things, like, okay, you should be on this or you should be on this. I'm just telling you what has worked for me. Okay. And when those things that you're doing allow you to have the fruit of the Spirit, because what was in your brain before was blocking your ability to see things the way God created your brain to see them because of things that have happened to you. What do? You just give up? Or do you seek out the best possible way? And I'm not saying this is your first line of treatment. I mean, we've done everything else. We've spent over $100,000 detoxing me, getting cavitations out of my mouth, getting the fillings out of my mouth, going through all kinds of medical protocols, spiritual protocols. When you're at the end of your rope, and your next move is driving off the bridge, this is when this becomes like, maybe I should look into this. And here's what I'm trying to say.
And I would actually argue now that we know about it,
Well,
we
yeah,
wouldn't wait
yeah,
that long.
right. And I wish I would have known about it sooner. But I'm
Right.
saying just for me, okay.
Sure.
I mean, my EMDR lady said, Wendy, if there was something on the market that I knew about, that I knew you hadn't already tried, I would tell you. But like,
Right.
we're at the end, so I am
Yeah.
100% for this. In fact, she got licensed to be a ketamine assisted EMDR specialist for me, just
Wow.
because I was dying. Every week I would go in for 3 hours, and the first 2.5 hours I was having to talk just to get to my comfort level with her, so she could then go in and do the EMDR. And she's like, "This is crazy." But I was like, I needed to trust her again, and it doesn't come
Yeah.
natural for me.
Yeah.
So I say all of that to say, when the medicine brings out the fruit of the Spirit, and
Mm.
when the medicine draws you closer to the Lord, somebody really needs to be careful in making a judgment about something of which they don't know. Because as you know, in my book, as I know we want to talk about real quick, the good gifts from God, from food to scripture to
I have the
rest.
list. I
Yeah,
have the list.
it's all meant for our good and his
Yeah.
glory. But the
Yeah.
enemy, who is in charge of the world right now and roams about seeking whom he may devour, has distorted and messed up all of them. All of them.
Yes.
And so that's what this book is about.
Yes. And not just the enemy, our flesh, our sinful natures,
Sure.
and then the enemy just constantly is throwing it at us, trying to get our flesh to accept it. But
Right.
yeah, so 25% of your book as it currently sits is a
Right.
chapter about the gifts of God and how
Hmm.
they were meant to be used, how they get abused, and then how we can pray and apply it to plant-based medicine and therapy, in getting help, for our brains.
Right.
So I'm just going to read the list real quick. Food, marriage slash sex or sexual union with your spouse, wine slash alcohol, music slash sound, physical touch slash intimacy, time slash rest, art, work slash purpose, friendship slash community, nature slash creation, scripture slash the word of God, the Holy Spirit. And then I know you're doing an update to your book, second
Yeah.
edition coming soon, where you're going to add number 13, grace,
Yes.
which I told you should have been in there from the beginning.
Right.
But, and the whole point is that these are gifts that God has given us for our enjoyment slash use in his kingdom to bless other people, to live out our lives in the kingdom, to make much of God and to draw people to Him, and yet they get used in complete ignorance of God, complete rebellion against God for
Mhm.
completely selfish, self kingdom purposes.
Yeah.
And what you're saying in your book is that plant based medicine or psychedelics in general are one of those things that God has given us that get abused, but that doesn't mean shouldn't be used at all. That that shouldn't be put on the shelf or
Or forbidden.
forbidden
Yeah.
slash condemned
Yeah. Because
because
it's
they
yeah.
get misused.
Right. You see a lot of people in the Christian community that have used and abused food, right? They have diabetes, they're overweight, whatever it is. They have not used
Heart
food,
disease,
yeah, in a way
whatever.
that God intended it. So God certainly never intended it to be used that way. But you don't throw food in a forbidden category. You tell people how to steward it, how to be good stewards of all God's gifts that He has given to us. This is the same in that it is a gift that God gave us that has been abused, but it should not be in the forbidden category. What should be forbidden is abusing it. Like, we know there's no wonderment about getting drunk in the Bible. That it's very clear. You
It's
can drink,
not very controversial that you shouldn't get drunk.
right.
Like even non-Christians would say, yeah, that people probably shouldn't get drunk.
Right. But there's a lot of controversy in whether you should drink or not. Well, when Jesus turned the water into wine, I think He probably put that to bed because, again, having been in
I got one
Israel
better for you.
4 times in Israel, there's no Welch's factory, right? But there's
Right.
lots of vineyards and lots of wine presses. So
I got
it
one
was
better for
actual
you.
wine. What is it?
Jesus said, John came not eating or drinking, and you called him a lunatic.
Right.
I came eating and drinking, and you call me a glutton and a drunkard.
Drunkard. Yeah.
Okay. Why would people call Jesus a drunkard, a glutton and a drunkard, unless he was actually eating and drinking alcohol,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It would be hard.
So I don't see how you say, and then they say, well, the alcohol wasn't the same then back then. Well, if you could still get drunk with it,
Yeah.
and they're saying don't do that, don't get drunk with
Yeah.
it, then it's the
Yeah.
same. I mean,
Here's the
maybe
thing.
it took
Yeah.
four glasses of wine
Right.
instead
Yeah.
of whatever.
Here's the beauty that I so used to be of this mind, right? I used to go back and forth and like, okay, what does it really mean? Here's the wonderful thing through this whole experience that God has shown me. I have tried for my entire life to keep God in the box that I'm comfortable with Him being in. And
Right.
He just blew my box to smithereens. There's no box. There I can't find my box. He can't find my box. There's no box. There's no box that He fits in. And
Mm,
He will reveal Himself to you in whatever way He knows will get your attention. That's just the
yeah.
bottom line. If He has chosen for you to be His child, you are not going to escape Him, no matter what you do. Not in a journey, not anywhere. I mean, there are people there. I can't even tell you how many thousands of documented cases, and this is way more accepted, of people that have had NDEs, near death experiences, and they're not even Christians, but
Yeah.
Jesus meets them in their near death experience in heaven, brings them to heaven where He is, and tells them, this is why It's important for you to listen to what I'm saying. And you go back now and you share with everybody what I've said. And these people are getting radically, radically changed. Some of them go to hell first and then to heaven. Some of them is just an easy warning. It doesn't matter. God knows what each of those people need. And there are thousands of those testimonies, thousands of them. Lee Strobel talks about it. They're everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are very well respected pastors. And the thing is, when I was in my journey and I was scared to death, and Jesus came and rescued me from my dark room, and then everything that he showed me, everything was about redemption, about reconciliation. It was all biblical.
Right.
Biblical. And then he revealed things to me that I did not know, and I don't know yet why he did, but healed me of things I didn't even realize had happened, because I had no memories before 11. I couldn't come up with a memory to save my life before 11 years old.
Wow.
And in my journey, he showed me why.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand at first. I still am processing that. But what I know that he told me was I wanted to reveal it and heal it at the same time. I don't want you having a memory a year from now because now my brain is much better. And so my memories are coming back. And he didn't want me to think of something and then be like, hey, what is that? So God is so personally interested in how I know that he loves me, that he didn't have to do that. He did not have to do that. But he did it in a state of mind where I was so receptive to anything that he said. I've never even been mad about the first 8 years of my abuse. I haven't even been, not 1 second have I been mad. Now, I spent decades being furious about what happened to me after 11.
About what you could remember.
Yes.
Right.
But there were 8 years before that were way worse than 11 and on, that I've never spent 1 second being upset about, because he revealed it when I was in a place where he could heal me at the same time, fully heal me. And so this is my experience, and this is, and doesn't the Bible say we know by the word of your testimony? This is what my testimony is. And so nobody has to believe
we'll know them by their fruit.
Yes.
And there's fruit of this healing that we will talk about further. So
chapter 10 of my book are people that lived it with me, the before and after. So it's not just you. It's not just 1 or 2 people. I mean, these are people from all my walks of life that saw this crazy, turnaround. And then, of course, just the fact that I want to be here and I want to talk about it is just a testimony to the Lord.
So let's talk about one thing in particular that he revealed to you in your journey, and that was that you were to write a book.
Yes, he did. That came at the very end, and I thank the Lord, I have everything on my voice memo. So it's right there on the voice memo. And whatever he showed me, I can't even remember the scene that he showed me, because, he showed me the scene, then he gave me insight, then instruction. And the instruction that I said was, I think I'm supposed to write another book. And then I was like, oh, I wasn't happy about it. Of course, I'm going to do it. But, I didn't enjoy my first experience writing a book. So I was not excited about this one. But this was so different. And then 24 hours later, of course, I'm in this room by myself. So nobody's even in there with me. Nobody even hears what I say. But 24 hours later, as I'm checking out, Tom, the same one I apologized to, comes in my room and he's like, Wendi, 2 things for you. Number 1, I want you to rewrite our manual where everything is based around Jesus and God and Christian, because he saw me really struggling with the New Age part of the whole program. And he said, and number 2, Wendi Rees, you need to write the book, The Christian's Guide to Psychedelics. And I immediately was like, oh my goodness, that's what God was saying. So that's the reason the book is called The Christian's Book to Christian's book to psychedelics, and it was like,
Christian's Guide.
yeah, the Christian's Guide to Psychedelics. Thank you. I kind of was going to change it. I've had multiple names for it, but this is what the Lord gave me. So, yeah, very. There I am. Yep. And yeah, we talked about, could we come up with any name that's more controversial than that one? And
No,
I
I
had,
don't think you could. I
I
think you
know,
picked the most controversial name possible. Like you just are like, hey, all right, this is
yeah,
it.
yeah. It was crazy. Yeah, I had some that would have caused a little less stress, but you know what? I'm not. I
I
mean,
think the name is genius.
yeah,
I think not only is it extremely controversial, but it is extremely genius because it leaves no room for interpretation.
no, it does not. You know
Like,
exactly what's
this
happening.
is
Yeah,
exactly what this
yeah,
book is.
yeah, for sure.
It's for Christians and it's
Yep.
about psychedelics
Yes, it is. Yeah, and
and
if
it's
you're a
about the guide
non-Christian,
to them.
yeah, if you're a non-Christian, I think you will enjoy it too. I actually am now hosting Christian retreats for psychedelic assisted therapy. We did one in September. The people that came, the first person to sign up was actually an atheist, and
Wow.
he actually said to me he got more out of the book, the workbook, than he did out of the medicine. And
Wow.
that meant a lot to me, because I know where he's coming from. And everybody around the table, we had about 8 people, and everyone that was there, they were hungry for something they'd never tried before, because a lot of them have
Mm,
been addicts and they've been to rehabs, they've been everywhere, and they said the one thing we've never tried is Jesus,
mm.
and it was just so meaningful for them. So
That's
I
awesome.
want to be able to provide this kind of safe environment in a Christian setting for other
Hmm.
people that are thinking about driving off the bridge.
Well, and you've said this to me before. You want them to know who the healer is, not
Yeah.
what heals, but who the actual healer is,
Yeah.
and that this is something that he can use if it's necessary for you to heal you, but
Right.
that it's really about the healer more than it is about what he uses to heal you.
Absolutely, because there's no, I mean, that he can use anything. He can just think it, and that's what I prayed. I'm like, just give me a
Right?
supernatural healing, Lord. I'm trying to work for you. I'm trying to help other people, but you gotta fix me. And that wasn't his plan. I
Yeah.
went to the 10 rounds of the heart protocol. He did not use that for my healing. That was not what he chose. I got relief, but I did not get the healing that ibogaine brought. So
Right.
for whatever reason, I just kept seeking, and he just kept leading, and so I just
Yeah.
kept obeying, and that led to my healing.
That's awesome.
But
We've
he
started
wasn't
to
healing.
talk about, how people use, the not being drunk with wine, but being full of the Holy Spirit, and how is this any different? And we talked a little bit about the fact that it's completely different. You were in your journey and you came out of it temporarily to obey something Jesus told you, but what I also want people to think about too is it's one thing to get drunk because your life is miserable and you want to forget about it for
Mhm.
however long and just turn to something that will have zero spiritual benefit, zero physical benefit. In fact, it actually destroys. There's
Right.
nothing about getting drunk that is beneficial,
No,
right?
no.
But then we want to say, well, being in that state of mind is what we are told not to do. We should be, and they try to say that means we're being told we should be in control of our minds at all times. That drunkenness equals losing control of your mind. And so that's what it's talking about. You should never do anything that causes you to lose control of your mind. Well, we've already given one example of the fact that you actually were in control of your mind. You
Right.
were just on a journey.
Right.
And but then there's also the whole fact of there's things that people do all the time for medical or dental purposes
Oh, yeah.
that you give up complete control of your mind in order
Absolutely.
to do it,
Right.
i.e., anesthesia or even
Laughing gas.
laughing gas,
Yeah.
to make you out of your mind
Yeah, for
while
real.
you get
Yeah.
drilled on or whatever.
Right.
So I just think it's a complete. I think it goes to the fact that people are like they're just so used to the church having condemned rightly the recreational use of psychedelics and just seeing the 60s and the flower children and the LSD and the acid and the trips and all this stuff and the destruction that it
Right.
had on people personally and society and all that, and they automatically associate that with just the word psychedelics. So you
Right.
say the word psychedelics
Yeah.
and equals mind altering equals bad.
Yeah, and for each person, here's what I will say. Some people might have a personal conviction, and there are actual whole religions that don't believe you should go to the doctor. And here's what I say. I couldn't be in that religion because that wouldn't work for me, and that I don't believe that way. But I'm not going to judge them if that's their conviction and they want to walk their faith out that way. That is between them and the Lord. But there are
So
also,
when you're saying religions, you're actually meaning denominations of Christianity, like
yeah, if that's what they want to call it, I don't know. I mean, there might be some other non-Christian religions that don't believe
religions.
in
Yeah,
medicine. I don't
yeah,
know. But here's what I'm saying. In the Christian evangelical church, okay, you never ever hear from the pulpit, do not allow the doctor to put you to sleep if you are having a procedure on your heart. Do not allow the dentist to give you laughing gas when you are going, for a dental procedure.
a root canal or
Yes, you
whatever.
never hear these as forbidden things not to do or whatever, to not do
Whatever.
these things. But
Right.
you will hear these things that are lumped in as drugs to whether it be psychedelics or heroin or whatever. Heroin has zero medicinal purpose and is very destructive. Okay. Now, there are people that use these same exact substances that you and I have talked about today, and they abuse them. There are people that I know that are literally using mushrooms recreationally, and it is not a good thing. It's not a good
Right.
thing, okay? And they are coming off of one drug and going on to mushrooms. It's like it's just they're trading one for the other. Now, albeit mushrooms are definitely better than opioids as far as what the medicinal purpose of them.
Destruction
Yes,
or even the destruction of their
right.
bodies or
But
whatever.
but what they're doing is it's not drawing them closer to the Lord. They're replacing one drug with another when they should be using those substances to help heal whatever that underlying thing is that got them on drugs to begin with. And
Right.
that's why when I'm talking about doing this in a therapeutic way with worship music on, with scripture, you are just bathed in everything Jesus, and then you're looking for him when you go in. Okay. It's like we talked
Yeah.
about when we're in the flesh, we're still dealing with the spiritual realm. So when you
Right.
open this spiritual door, this portal, what everybody wants to say, you're still armed with the Holy Spirit. You're just much closer to the action. And it is
Yeah.
amazing. It is amazing to see what God will do when you're
Wow.
seeking him. The Bible tells us when we seek him with our whole heart, we will find him. And when
Yes.
you get to the point of that kind of desperation, you are seeking him with your whole heart. And when he
Yes.
shows up, it's in such a profound way that no one's ever going to take that experience from me.
Mm.
And it's like when Paul was taken up into the third heaven, he said, whether in the
Right.
body or the spirit, I don't know. Well, I
Right.
don't either. You know what I mean? But here's what I
Right.
do know is that changed me forever. And it was for the better. And it was a towards God, not away from him.
Mm. Praise God. And
Yeah.
I have had a front row seat to see that. And I've told you this before, but victim Wendi died in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned it, how you haven't been mad for 1 second about the additional abuse that you found out
Yeah.
that occurred to you prior to 11.
Yeah. I
But
know. It's crazy.
I know the healing has happened, and I know that it's a new Wendi. That Wendi has her whole natural brain back,
Right.
that has been healed by the Lord, because you are not the victim that you were a year ago or however long ago it was. I don't even remember how long ago it's
Yeah.
been, but
Yeah.
it's been amazing to see. You're a new person. The fruit of the Spirit is evident in you now. Um, and God is doing amazing things. He's honoring your obedience once again in writing this book. So let's talk about what's going on with this book, because
I know. It's crazy, isn't
it's
it?
crazy.
It really is. Well, it was interesting because, he clearly told me to write it, gave me the title. At the very beginning, I had many people that said they were wanting to help me and then just not a whole lot of follow through. So I
Right?
kept saying to the Lord, if you are wanting, because at first I was like, maybe you just want me to write this book so it's like a really awesome journal entry, so I'll never forget what he
Right?
did for me. And then I'm like, I'm totally fine with that. If you want me to be just reminded of your goodness, then this is
Yeah.
worth all this work. But if you want other people to read it, I'm going to need some help because,
Right.
there's like protocol and things that needs to be professionally done. And that morning of that prayer, he sent someone to me that afternoon. So he answered that prayer immediately. And then
Wow.
just through multiple different invitations to different places and being able to connect with people in this world, we ended up pre-releasing the book so that I could hand a copy of it, and instead of just like a PDF file, I could hand a copy of the book to some of these people who are really helping to get the word out, especially here in Texas, because Texas just did the iBegain initiative back in June, and we passed the largest bill ever for $50 million that they're doing FDA research to get it out of a class 1 into a class 3, and they're doing it on the veterans. So Governor Perry and Brian Hubbard and Marcus Luttrell, Marcus Capone, a lot of these very big names in our world are totally on board with this and are doing everything they can to get the word out. And it's interesting because if you live in Texas or you know about Texas, you know that Governor Rick Perry was the longest standing governor we've ever had, but he is a conservative to the nth degree. He's a Christian man. And he says, if you would have told me 5 years ago that my name and the word psychedelics would be in the same sentence, I'd tell you you were crazy. And
Right.
but now he's literally said, I will stake my reputation on this, and I don't care what it takes. We are going to get this legal. And because he's seen these guys and how it's changed their life. Marcus Luttrell actually lived with him in the governor's mansion for almost
Yeah.
3 years. And
And for those that don't know, Marcus Luttrell, vet,
Navy
the
SEAL,
movie Lone Survivor, that
hmm
Mark
Mark Wahlberg.
Wahlberg played
Mhm.
him in
Yeah,
the movie.
it's a great
So
movie,
it's about
and
him.
yeah, and that's who Marcus Luttrell is, and And Marcus is an amazing Christian man. His wife Melanie, amazing Christian man. There are
Did I hear that
thousands.
he was thinking about becoming a pastor or something, or
I
was
think
it
he's becoming he's getting a
becoming an elder or
yeah, or
something
something
in
like
the
that
church?
in his
Yeah,
church. Yeah. And he takes
gotcha.
these things very seriously. I mean, he, before I began, I mean, this was not him. But now
Yeah,
he is very serious about his
that's
relationship
awesome.
with God. And Rick Perry's just watched him, and he's like, I have seen the fruit, like you were saying. I have seen the fruit, and so they're putting their reputation on the line for this. And so
Well,
when
and it's
he,
because if you saw the Joe Rogan episode with Governor Perry and Brian Hubbard, it's
yeah,
because Marcus Luttrell was living with him and going through hell
yes,
on earth,
yeah,
and Governor Perry was trying to get him help, and the Lord led him to Ibogaine.
yeah, yeah,
And he saw the change that happened in Marcus with the
yeah,
Ibogaine, and that's the
yeah.
rest is history.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's just story after story after
Yeah,
story. The next version that I release of my book is including multiple of those testimonials, because
that's
it's
awesome.
not just about my story. The original book plan was just to be about my story, but the Lord has connected me with so many people, and now Governor Perry loves my book, and he's like, we
Mm,
need this book, because this is the same thing I'm hearing. There's a lot of Christians that are so trepidatious about taking this step because they've just been programmed to think, like think this is a drug like everything else. And it's just not. It is a
yeah.
gift from God, and it is
Mm,
changing lives. It is saving lives. And I'm just thankful to be part of it,
mm,
and want as many people as possible to be able to get this treatment. So we are also starting scholarships for people that can't
mm,
afford it, because like right now you still have to go to Mexico, and it's not cheap,
yeah,
until we can get it, approved here, and then still sponsor people to go through. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of support for the veterans, because that's very easy. I mean, that's kind of like a bipartisan easy sell, right? These are the guys that are protecting
right.
our country and give us freedom to live. But there are
Yeah.
so many people that aren't veterans that still need it too, and I feel like that's kind of my calling, is to come in alongside those people. And
I mean,
especially,
how many people have we known and if not 1 degree of separation, 2 or 3 degrees of separation of either being the victim or the perpetrator
yeah,
of sexual abuse in the church,
yeah, it's just
or
sad.
church abuse and
Hmm.
spiritual abuse and mental emotional abuse is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and people are walking away because they are so overwhelmed with the PTSD that has come from that, and
Yeah.
God is going to find them. The Bible says He leaves the
Yes.
99 and He goes after the one, and
Well,
there's
and
no
he's going to use
protocol.
this book to do it, and
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
hope
excited
so.
about it. I did want to say about this book real quick. There's over 250 scripture references in this book.
Yeah,
This book is more about the Lord
yeah,
than it is about psychedelics.
yeah, yeah,
This book is more about God and who he is and what the word tells us about him and how he works and it's just about how psychedelics relates to that and how he's used psychedelics in your life and in others and why it should be considered if you have major trauma or a brain injury or
or
something that's
addiction, or you
or
have family
addiction or
members that have
something that
addiction.
has
Yeah,
caused your brain to malfunction in a
right,
certain way or one way or another.
right,
This book is not, or I should say, psychedelics is not for everyone.
right,
It's not for me. I
right,
don't need it.
right,
I will never, I mean, apart from, God forbid, something happen to where I need it, I have zero plans to ever do it, use
right.
it. But it was for me so I could understand it.
Right.
And
Let me throw something in here. I read today a pastor's wife that was making a post on Facebook about she was with her granddaughter, was the last one to see her granddaughter when her granddaughter died somehow. This is last year. And just reading through her post, she is traumatized. Traumatized.
Mm,
Now, I, I haven't talked to her, but I felt very convicted and led to let her know about my book. This book
mm,
doesn't doesn't mean you were abused as a child. It could be you lost someone and the grief has overtaken you and you can't
mm,
move past it. And
mm,
this will go in and it will reset your brain to where it was before the tragedy happened. And God will
mm.
meet you in a way that, I mean, one of my friends literally did this the first right after her mom died. In fact, she almost canceled it because she didn't know if she could deal with it. And the very first thing was God showed her that her mother was fine, and she was able to
Mm,
actually like let go of the guilt and the
mm.
level of grief. It doesn't mean she doesn't miss her mom, right? It just means
Of
that
course.
it's easier for her to deal with now. It just gave her a
Mm,
peace that she hadn't been able to get to, you know. So I'm
yeah.
just saying there are so many things that this medicine helps with, in if it's something mentally, emotionally that we're going through. And
Yeah.
God is just a big God, and he
Yeah.
wants us to have life in abundance.
That's awesome. So one of the things I know we've talked about in the past, with the fact that this book is going to be used to save lives, there's no doubt,
Right.
but it's also going to get a lot of criticism.
Right.
It's going to there's going to be people that have zero interest in trying to understand.
Right.
Hopefully most of our audience is not in that camp. And if somebody is struggling with understanding it, all I would say is one, pray that you never need psychedelic therapy. Pray that neither you nor anyone you know or love needs it.
Right.
But chances are
Yeah.
someone that you know and love will.
Right.
So my encouragement is to get it and read it with a mind and a heart that says, Lord, I may not understand this, but I want to understand it. And if you still can't understand it, then all we ask is that you don't criticize. That unless you've walked in your shoes, or my shoes with someone like me who's walked very closely with someone like you.
Right.
Unless you have dealt with major trauma of some kind that you couldn't get past, or you've been someone who's walked with someone like that, then don't judge and don't criticize what you don't understand.
Right.
And maybe just read the book and maybe the Lord will help you understand it, because I can tell you one thing you will understand if you read this book is that you wanted only to make God the hero in this thing. You
Right.
wanted to make sure everyone knew this is about trusting the Lord. This is about honoring the Lord. This is about making much of the Lord. The Lord used plant-based medicine, psychedelic, to heal me, but the Lord healed me.
Right. Right. Yeah. He is the healer. I mean, because think about it like this: if it was just the medicine or the substance, then all those crazy events in the 60s where everybody was just taking all these different drugs, there would have been mass healings there.
Right?
It's not the substance, it's your heart posture, and it's who
Mm,
you're seeking, and
mm,
he's the healer.
mm. Wow. It's your heart posture. and who you're seeking. Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, and actually you talk about this, it reminds me of the section in your book about communion.
Mhm.
Talk about something good.
Right.
Is there anything better that we can do in remembering the Lord than taking communion? And yet God killed people for taking it in the wrong way.
Yeah, when their heart
Would you say
posture,
their heart posture
yeah,
was not
not
right?
exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and
So
that's what I try to explain in the book. It's that, and that's what he's revealed to me in everything that we're doing. Everything. It is our heart posture toward him. If my heart posture is to please him, then the chances of me, like, especially if I'm seeking him so much about something like I did about this, the chances of me getting it wrong, because I gave him multiple opportunities, right, to shut the door. I'm like, okay, just shut the door, like, but he didn't. He kept bringing more people around. And then even
yeah,
on the plane over there, I'm like, okay, just crash the plane, save all these people, just make sure I know this is, I made a mistake. And even when he didn't crash the plane, I'm like, just okay, help it not to work. Like, I don't even want this to work. Like, just I'm giving him total permission to be 100% in control of the process, but with my heart posture willing, even in my ignorance of not knowing why he's using this thing. But
right.
for whatever reason, Lord, this is where you've led me. Okay, so I'm going to take these 8 pills. If I'm wrong, I don't want to make you mad. I love you. I don't want to make you mad. So just
Mm,
help them to just go right in and go right out. I don't even want the effects of them.
right.
When you are seeking the Lord in a way where he knows your heart posture is to please him, then
Mm,
I'm not sure there is anything that he will not meet you right there. You can't find a place where he will go, oh, well, I love your attitude, but if you were over here, then I could use that. No, he does not care. He wants your heart.
yes. And you are. I think that's a great way to end this episode. You're. Not only is there not a place that he won't meet you, you can trust that he's led you everywhere you've gone
Yeah,
as you have sought him, that he has been the one to lead you. If you are walking in faith, which
yeah,
is what you're talking about,
right,
if
right.
you are seeking the Lord, walking in faith, asking him to fill you with his spirit, you're seeking him in the word,
Yeah,
obviously.
right.
You're seeking wise counsel. You can trust he's led you. You can
Absolutely.
trust that, okay, God is in this. He won't let me get away from this.
Right.
I've given
I
him
know.
every
I, s-
opportunity
I said,
to,
Lord, we already talked about this. You said no. I said, okay, we moved on. Why are we back here? you know?
right,
But he was positioning me in the place he wanted me at that time. So
right,
I think if it would have been my very first time, I may not have been as pliable as I was the second time, but I already knew about it and I had already sought him and he said no. And so I was like,
right.
fine. And that's what I would say to every single person listening. You may seek him about this same thing and it's not for you. He says no, and you need to listen to that. This is
Amen.
not a call for everybody to just go out and try it. This is a call for your heart posture and everything to be, Lord, what do you have for me?
It's a call to the opposite of, for everyone who is saying, I'm absolutely not going to do this, to say, Lord, are you in this? Are you trying to tell me something? If you're watching this episode right now
Right.
and this is something that you've been considering, maybe the Lord is trying to tell you something in
Right.
this.
Yeah.
We're not going to say he is. We're
Yeah.
not saying
No.
because you see
No,
this
no.
episode, you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
But maybe you're supposed to get the book. Maybe you're supposed to read the book. Maybe you're supposed to get the book and give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the book. Okay. It's The Christian's Guide to Psychedelics, not the
Right.
Christian's book to psychedelics, the Christian's Guide.
Right.
It's by Wendi Rees
Yep.
with Wendi with an I, Rees with no E.
Right.
You said on Amazon,
Mhm.
and
I
is
think it's
that
everywhere. I
really
think
the
it's
only
yeah,
place
I
right
think it's
now?
on Barnes& and Noble. I think my publisher said it was pretty much
Actually,
everywhere.
somebody did tell me they saw it on Barnes and Noble,
Yeah.
um,
And I'll
and
put
it's
I'll
in
put the link.
hardback and
Mhm.
softback
Yeah, I'll put the Amazon link in the, show notes.
in the description.
Mhm.
Awesome, and just pray, seek the Lord. We want what the Lord wants for ourselves and for everyone that hears our voices. We would never want anybody to not follow the Lord, to not listen to the Lord and the Holy Spirit. All we want is for people to be open to the possibility that God may use plant based medicine, psychedelics, to heal someone's brain.
If Jesus can heal, and he did, can heal a blind man by just saying you are healed, if he can heal a blind man just by touching his eyes, or he can use the clay from the ground, spit in it, make mud, and rub it on his eyes, why would he use all of those different methods if there was just one way that he was wanting to heal? He's showing us that he can use and will use anything that he wants to use to heal. There's no
Yes.
limit. He can think it, he can touch it, he can use something that he's created and then spit in it, which was like
Right.
disgusting back in those days. But he
Right.
did it to prove you are not going to keep me in my box. And I
Right.
think he did it on the Sabbath just because he could, you know?
Right.
So I've
He
decided,
loved stirring
yeah.
it up, didn't
Yeah.
he?
So I've just
Yeah.
decided that, you know what? He is God and I am not. And whatever he wants is what I am going to do. And even if it's
Mm,
unconventional and not what I would have planned for myself.
right.
Thank you and good night. I don't know
My
what
my
else to
mic is in a stand, so I can't drop it.
say. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, this has been great catching up. I'm super excited. I can't wait to record episode 2 and hear about the developments, because I know things are moving fast in this world with this book and with people that have gotten a hold of it that have some crazy influence
Yeah,
in this space. And so we're going to just continue to pray that God gets the glory from the miracle that He's worked in your life through this plant-based medicine, ibogaine.
I know. I'm so thankful. So thankful.
Awesome.
And I love you.
Love
And
you,
I
sis.
thank you for walking through it with me.
It's been my
Mhm.
privilege. I've told you that every step of the way.
I
It's an
know.
honor.
Mhm.
And love you.
I
Thankful
love
for
you.
you. And I'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
All right.